In this episode, we talk about morning routines. Get excited because this is Tiny Leaps, Big Change. Welcome to another episode of Tiny Leaps, Big Changes, where I share simple strategies you can use to get more out of your life. My name is Gregg Clunis, and in this episode, I want to talk to you about morning routines. More specifically, I want to talk to you about why morning routines matter and how to start your own morning routine. You see, this is one of those things that I've always spent a lot of time being cynical about. That's a good word for it. So being a little cynical about, because it feels like it shouldn't matter all that much. And it feels like, well, if you can't find the time or the energy to prioritize a morning routine, that shouldn't limit you, right? It feels like one of those like personal development woo-woo type things that theoretically is valuable, but more difficult for normal people like us to implement on a day-to-day basis. However, recently my viewpoint on this has shifted quite a bit, because the truth is morning routines are valuable for a lot of reasons. There's a ton of reasons for it. Chief amongst them, though, is it builds your confidence. I know. That doesn't seem like the answer you were going to look for. You know, morning routines, we're always told, it's like, oh, get yourself right in the right mindset, get yourself set up to do well for the day, and yada, 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 right? Those things are true. But more importantly, and probably the most important part of morning routines, is that it helps you to build your confidence. So what do I mean? Well, it's been proven that by committing to ourselves, by saying, I'm going to do X, and then actually following through and doing X, we add a little bit. We make a deposit into the confidence bank, right? That's been proven. Now, the thing with a morning routine, no matter how short it is, one that you've designed for yourself and made the choice to pursue every single morning, the thing about that is that every single morning you wake up and you start your day by making a deposit into the confidence account. That's exactly what's happening. Think about it. You're committing to something and you are reaffirming that commitment every single morning. That's huge. That means as soon as you wake up, the first thing you do is make a deposit into that confidence account. And then all of a sudden, for the rest of the day, you are starting in sort of a positive place as it relates to your confidence. And the thing is, self-confidence has been shown to be insanely valuable. I mean, just around everything. It controls your ability to take action, the depth of action you're willing to take. It just affects so much in our lives. In fact, there is a report by the Committee on Techniques for the Enhancement of Human Performance. Now, real quick aside here, that name sounds a little bit like the bad guys in the dystopian novel, like something from the Hunger Games or something. But nevertheless, so this report by the Committee on Techniques for the Enhancement of Human Performance, they found, quote, self-confidence is considered one of the most influential motivators and regulators of behavior in people's everyday lives. A growing body of evidence suggests that one's perception of ability or self-confidence is the central mediating construct of achieving strivings. So what does that mean? Basically, they're saying that our ability to be confident in ourselves, our ability to believe in ourselves, to have that sort of self-belief is the key factor in achieving whatever we want, whatever our goals are, whatever thing we want to do in our lives. Being self-confident is dramatically important in accomplishing it. So we've got that established. You now know you need a morning routine, and you need it because it allows you to start your day by making a deposit into that confidence account. So how do we build one? How do we make one for ourselves? Well, I found 6 main steps that can help. 6 things that I believe are dramatically important for helping us to create our own morning routines. And just really quickly, I want to point out, it needs to be yours. Don't just Google like, oh, morning routines of the most successful people and then copy their thing. Don't do that, because that's their thing. That's the thing that they built their morning routine for a specific result they wanted to gain for themselves based on where their life was. For you to sit down and just copy that, you don't have the same goal. You don't have the same result you're looking for. Your life isn't in the same place. And so you need to build your own. You can take ideas from other people, but don't ever just sit down and copy their routine. It's not going to do the same for you as it does for them. So with that established, step number 1 to help you build your own morning routine is to decide on the purpose of that routine. See, a morning routine can do one of 2 things, in my opinion. These are the 2 most common. So the first is it can set you up for the day, right? It can get you into the right mindset, get you into the right energy, get you into the right place to be able to perform for the rest of the day. The second thing it can do, however, is ensure that you always take certain behaviors every single day. Now, that seems like a small distinction, but stick with me here. In the first version of this, where a morning routine is used to help you set up to perform for the rest of the day, this is going to be very mindset oriented. And so your morning routine is going to want to include things like journaling, meditation, relaxing activities like sipping lemon water or coffee or whatever your morning thing is, right? And you can include things like working out and so on and so forth, but that stuff is largely in there for the mental effects that it has. On the flip side, creating a morning routine that is purely about making sure you hit certain activities, that's much more physical. And so that'll be less about meditation, less about the mental and emotional side and prepping yourself, and more about here's my checklist of things that need to be done every day. So go to the gym, eat a healthy breakfast, work out, stretch, like whatever it is, right? Here's my checklist. I need to make sure I hit this every single day so that I'm starting in a great place and I don't have to worry about it for the rest of the day. Now, these 2 things can be mixed. Your morning routine isn't a black or white thing, right? Like you're going to get effects of both, but understanding your personal goal for it, the thing you want to get from it, that's going to help you when you sit down in building the actual activities. Are we going to focus more on the mental, emotional side, or are we going to focus more on the accomplishment side? Make that distinction for yourself, and it'll help you to better understand the types of activities to put on your morning routine, as well as how long it should be. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is to design the routine itself. And in this case, you want to write out, what does your ideal look like? So if you could snap your fingers and tomorrow have the exact routine that you picture, the exact thing that you think is going to help you out, what would that look like? Sit down and write that out and literally just make a list like 1, wake up. 2, make my bed. 3, make coffee. 4, sip lemon water. 5, journal for 20 minutes. 6, meditate for 20 minutes. Like whatever your ideal looks like, just write it all out. Design that process and take the time to think through, based on your answer in step number 1, what is it you're trying to accomplish and what activities need to be on this in order to help you accomplish it. Then step number 3 is to pick the first thing. So you've got your ideal, right? These are your 12 steps to a perfect day, right? What's the first thing on there that you're going to start with? Maybe the very first thing is making your bed first thing in the morning. This is my personal morning routine, right? So as soon as I wake up, get out of bed, make it. That's the first thing. Why do I do that? Well, because it gives me an early win. It gives me a sense of accomplishment, yada, 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 right? Pick that. That is your first thing. Then from there, in step 4, set it up the night before. Now, with something like making the bed, that's a little difficult. You know, you can't exactly set that up the night before, but you can get yourself into that mindset the night before that, hey, I'm going to get out of bed and I'm going to make it immediately. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Make that decision the night before. Something like drinking a glass of water first thing. Well, you can put the water by your bed. so that as soon as you wake up, you drink it. Super simple, super easy. And that can be something that helps you out. If your morning routine is, hey, I want to drink lemon water first thing in the morning, and that's difficult for you to execute on, guess what? You can slice the lemon the night before, put it in the mug, put the mug in the fridge. And as soon as you wake up, just put some hot water in it. Bam, boom, done. So whatever your first step is, forget about the rest of the list at this point. The first thing on it, just do what you can to set yourself up for it the night before. There's a great quote by Ryan Serhant. So he is the host of $1 Million Listening. He's a vlogger on YouTube. There's a great quote that he had in a recent vlog that was, my day starts the night before. So take the time the night before to set yourself up for the day you're going to have tomorrow. If you can do that, and it can be as small as 5 minutes the night before, but if you can do that, you'll drastically improve the likelihood that you wake up and you do that thing, right? So then the next step, you've set it up for the night before, do it for 3 days. Wake up, make your bed, whatever your thing is, make your bed, drink your glass of water, lemon water, whatever it is, right? Your first thing of the day, just wake up, do that thing 3 days. Don't worry about the rest of the list. Don't even bother trying. You might feel like you can. Don't do it yet. Just focus on that one thing. Do it for 3 days. Here's why. Because over the course of those 3 days, you are committing to yourself. You're starting that process of building the habit, building the thought process, building the routine, remembering it. Like, you're changing yourself ever so slightly over the course of those 3 days. If you try to throw everything else on the list into it, guess what? You're going to crash. Because humans cannot change that dramatically unless some sort of external force is forcing you to do so, right? So if you just pick the first thing and you just commit to it for 3 days, that's really easy for you to do. And because it's such a small thing, it's really easy for you to follow through on. And that's going to allow you to start the process. Then after 3 days, you can add the second thing. Do 2 things for 3 days. Now, I did not say that building a routine was going to be quick. It's not going to happen overnight, just like anything else. But taking it slow that way, adding in one thing at a time every 3 days or so, that's going to help you stick with it. That's going to help you build the habit, the routine, and it'll put you in a place where you start to crave this morning routine. And then finally, we actually already went over that. Add in the next thing. That's the last step of this process. So those are the 6 steps. Decide on the purpose, design the routine itself, pick the first thing, set it up the night before, do it for 3 days, and then add in the next thing. Do this over and over and over and over again. And eventually, you're going to find yourself in this position where you have a morning routine. And people are like, whoa, you have a morning routine. That's so cool. So with that said, I hope you found this valuable. This is the process that has helped me to start building a morning routine. I'm definitely still in the early stages, but it's working so far and I'm sticking with it. So if you found this valuable, be sure to subscribe wherever you are consuming this, whether it's on audio on any of the platforms or on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Gregg Clunis. Click subscribe wherever you are consuming this. And if you feel like supporting the show, if you liked this episode, you want to hear more like it, and you want to become a supporter, check us out on Patreon. Head over to www.patreon.com/tinyleaps. When you become a supporter, you are helping us to continue putting out incredible content just like this one, to increase the frequency, to show up more consistently, and to get the help we need to really, really push this past where it is now. So consider supporting. Head over to www.patreon.com/tinyleaps. And with that said, my name has been Gregg Clunis. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember that all big changes come from the tiny leaps you take every day.